The recent statement on Siachen was made by a person who betrayed Nawaz Sharif, Mushahid Hussain, who was his minister and went and then joined Chaudhry Shujat and General Musharraf. So I don't take Mushahid seriously. I've known him since 1981. The foreign ministry spokesperson, the young lady, has responded to what a parliamentarian has said. All these issues will be discussed, but I thought I should avail of this occasion. We will get back to how we should move ahead with the dialogue in course of time. And Sartaj Aziz, I'm glad, was honest enough to admit in New York that the timing of the High Commissioner's meeting with the Hurriyat was unfortunate and wrong. So this is, I accept that. I'm sure we can proceed ahead on that.
Well, okay, you've broken down the Siachen issue for our viewers. Thanks for that, Mr. Parthasarathy. Now, let's go back to Lieutenant Colonel Shafqat Saeed and Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao on that. Now, the Pakistani claim is that India is inflexible on the issue of demilitarization in Siachen. The question that India would ask is, why should we trust you? Has there been any sort of reason in the past that has given us reason to believe that should India agree to demilitarization in Siachen, the next step from Pakistan will not be to come and occupy the position, as Mr. Parthasarathy pointed out, to gang up with China then, and we lose all tactical and strategic advantage that we have currently there. Why would we trust you?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, please, both of you.
Okay, first let me speak. Now, what you have said is correct. I mean, we have had these problems, the trust, that confidence breaking measures, and again attempts for that. We have seen this sine curve like relationship with India. My question as a student of history now, and I'm a fond reader of history of subcontinent, what are we transferring to our new generation? How will these things ever get resolved? Unless we meet, whether you get an advantage, whether Pakistan gets an advantage, the peace will only prevail once some vast clearance is undertaken. Now, I have a lot of regard for Mr. Parthasarathy, General Bakshi. I've been on a program with them. The question is, how do we move ahead? These acquisitions, these, blame game that we are training terrorists, this will stop only when we have enough confidence between the governments, and the government of Pakistan will find it strong enough to believe what you are saying. Otherwise, it will be treated as a blame as usual.
So here's my submission to you. So here's my submission to you. Before Lieutenant Colonel Shafqat Saeed speaks and we go across to Sushant Sareen, your points are accepted, sir. If you're saying that India was not keen on talks, did Pakistan really show the intent? I'm going to come back to that same issue. If Pakistan could have, it was a phenomenal opportunity, isn't it, Lieutenant Colonel Shafqat Saeed, for Pakistan to show we are the ones who are taking the lead. India might have initiated the talks, but we are the ones who are taking the lead. We will not meet with anybody but the foreign secretary. Still the foreign secretary level talks are over. Despite the hint from the Indian government, why did your High Commissioner continue to go and engage with the Hurriyat? Why did he do it? If Pakistan could have taken, it was an opportunity, isn't it, Lieutenant Colonel Shafqat Saeed, for Pakistan to show, listen, we are more keen than India to resolve the matter. They lost the opportunity.
We, as a Pakistani, I would say that I need peace. I want peace with India. And if peace comes to India, subcontinent, the beneficiary would be India. Look at the population of Pakistan and India. You are 10 times more than us. 20 times more than us, rather.
So 7
you would
times.
be the main beneficiary, not Pakistan. If we all reap the fruits of this peace, you would be the beneficiary.
No, but do you agree? Do you agree Pakistan lost an opportunity there?
You have to do more.
Do you agree, sir?
You have to do more.
No, do you agree? Do you agree Pakistan lost an opportunity there?
Region.
And every time, something of this
not only Pakistan,
and then you
India
keep pointing fingers at everybody.
I said that this bilateral measures like negotiations would benefit the people of subcontinent, and the main beneficiary would be India.
Yes, but that you're talking about an idealist scenario. Of course it would. Peace would benefit the entire subcontinent. But we're not going to reach that ideal unless the basic issues are sorted out. Major General D Bakshi, you want to come in?
Come in. Yeah. Air Marshal Abid Rao very rightly brought the issue of the, the historical perspective of this entire problem that we have. And I would like to point out to him, equally as a military historian, that we have seen a very familiar pattern kicking. Anytime the civilian leaderships of India and Pakistan opt for peace, try for a peace initiative, try and get peace talks going, there is a very standard reaction that comes from the other side. The Pakistani deep state, the army, the ISI, opposes it tooth, nail and claw. What we perceive is something like this: a cycle of firing on the line of control, intensifying, infiltration intensifying, and generally it makes, you know, it makes the entire talk process meaningless, and the capital, I mean the thing that caps it all is really a terrorist incident of a major nature. Fortunately, we haven't had one so far, but we are keeping our fingers crossed, because ever since Pakistan's Prime Minister accepted the invitation of Mr. Narendra Modi to come for the swearing-in ceremony, we took a big step. We took a big gamble. We said, let's see if it can work. You know, at least let's start on the right note. In South Asia, let's try and create an atmosphere of peace so that we all focus on our economic reconstruction rather than other views or other woes. But what precisely happens every time is this reaction, and I'm sure you are equally witness to it. As a military historian, you have studied the same patterns, that every time the peace talks start, we have the disruptive elements from the ISI, from the Pakistan army, you know, skewing the whole pitch. Spoiling the pitch for the talk.
But you know, the question,
ultimately
the question, sir, okay. Yeah, the question is, this latest needling, what has it come in response to? That is also the question we're asking here on the Newshour tonight. Is this latest needling about bringing up Siachen now, in addition to the Kashmir rhetoric? Sushant Sareen, is this in response to what the world saw and what transpired at the UN General Assembly?
Let me just touch on two things which have been mentioned in the past. I think it was Colonel Saeed who was talking about India needs to do more.
I think we've lost Sushant Sareen there for a bit. We'll get him back any moment now. Yes, Air Vice Marshal Abid Rao and Colonel Shafqat Saeed, you had a point to make. You agree with General D Bakshi? Because every time there is a headline that talks back on track, there is a byline saying ceasefire violations at the border.
First of all, I will just make one comment. This is a typical Indian outlook on the subject. The fact is not like this. You have had the best of relationship with General Pervez Musharraf, who headed the ISI, who headed the Pakistan Army.
And then what happened with Kargil?
You hold him responsible for Kargil also. The Kargil was beginning, but later on with Mr. Vajpayee, he enjoyed the best of the relations. They signed agreements of, ensuring that Pakistan territory will not be used against India. It was Pervez Musharraf. So that is not an issue with Pakistan.
But has that been honoured? It's one thing to give an assurance, but has Pakistan honoured that assurance? It's very easy to give an assurance, but the problem repeatedly, sir, through history, through the years, has been that there are assurances, there are agreements, there are pacts which are made, and then Pakistan does not honour them. Therein lies the essential problem.
So, first of all, let me just finish my comment. Why is Indian initiative so short-lived? On the first instance of India's dislike, the talks are stalled, and that old rhetoric of who is doing in Pakistan. Now, we have to move ahead. I want to emphasize on this point, that if this pattern remains, we have to break this pattern. And without Indian government's assistance and confidence to Pakistan's government, this thing will not break. I mean,
with all due respect,
if you think our political government is so weak.
Our Prime Minister still maintains we are willing to talk. The talks will happen if the atmosphere is conducive. Now, what is conducive atmosphere? Don't engage with Hurriyat before secretaries are talking. Don't engage with others. Let's talk with each other as nations. Correct. Sushant Sareen is back with us, sir. Colonel Saeed, I'll come to you. Sushant Sareen, yes, you were making a point.
Yeah, I was making a point on something earlier which Colonel Saeed has said when he said that India should do more. My point is that either the Pakistanis want parity, in which case they shouldn't ask us to do more. And if they ask us to do more, they shouldn't keep insisting on parity. That's one point. The other point is I would agree with Air Marshal Abid Rao when he talks about that utopian stuff of what we will leave behind for our children and all of that. I can't be more in agreement with him. But then the problems come in. For example, just today, or was it yesterday, the Pakistan Foreign Office spokesperson talks about this designated terrorist by the name of Fazlur Rahman Khalil. And she says that, look, we have nothing against this guy. Now, if you trace this fellow back, he has been one of the main guys who has been a part of the support base of the Al-Qaeda in Pakistan, and there are reasons to suspect that he had something to do with the kind of places where Osama bin Laden was staying while he was in Pakistan. To now say that this guy is some kind of a good citizen of Pakistan, I think should start ringing alarm bells around the world of whether Pakistan is actually serious in fighting terrorism as they make it out to be. After all, Fazlur Rahman Khalil is no Mother Teresa by any stretch of imagination. So when you see these kind of double standards and this kind of double speak, you are bound to raise very serious questions about Pakistan's intentions. The other point is that, we keep talking about this business about Siachen, and I think Ambassador Parthasarathy laid it down very well. Even if you want some kind of a demilitarization of Siachen, pending the final resolution of the Kashmir dispute, I think it is no longer possible unless there is a delineation or a marking of the maps as far as Siachen is concerned.
Right.
And in that sense, I think the Indian musician has probably moved forward much more than what it used to be earlier. And the Pakistanis need to understand this, because now those old compulsions of weather and other things probably no longer hamper us or our stay in Siachen. So if they want a deal, then I think the terms and conditions of a deal are very well laid out. If they don't want it, then just too bad.
Well,
and finally, my fear is, and I must say this, that what has been happening over the last few weeks leads me to believe that we are probably going to slide back alarmingly insofar as bilateral relations are concerned. We are seeing a ratcheting up of violence in Kashmir. We are seeing the ratcheting up of the rhetoric from Pakistan, both from the so-called quote-unquote non-state actors as well as the state actors. The Pakistan Army Chief has been making some very bellicose kind of statements in the recent days. So I suspect that things are likely to slide back.
Well,
and just yesterday we saw again a ceasefire violation in Poonch. So I think this is probably a portent of worse things to come as we go down. But only
Sushant Sareen,
one warning I must give. If the Pakistanis go down this route, I think they're likely to be surprised by the reaction of this government. Something they might not have factored in.
Running out of time on the debate, so quick word in from our Islamabad guest. Yes, Colonel Shafqat Saeed, you had a point to make.
Yes. The concern that you mentioned about ISI and army and everything that is happening between India and Pakistan is dictated by the army. I would say that why India has not published its finding on technical support division. And who amongst you, Pakistan did not say that TSD is responsible for 2611 or for attack on parliament or for Samjhauta Express. But it was your own official, your own bureaucrat, in your own private court this happened, that they said that TSD is involved in all such operations to malign Pakistan's impression in India. And it is being done for the media, so that you can harp on all those things that Pakistan is the...
Come on, Colonel Shafqat Saeed, come on.
This is fact, please don't get shocked. This is fact.
You can see the reactions of our panelists here.
Brought it to public?
My point is, why haven't you making public? Why haven't you lived up to your commitment? If, like you said, General Musharraf said, no terror camps and no terror bases in Pakistan. You know very well what is happening there. Why are those terror camps being allowed to fester?
They are denying it.
There are none. There is no interference from Pakistan.
Major General G D Bakshi, Major General G D Bakshi, please come in on this, because this is what it eventually comes down to. Every single time there are facts that are pointing to specific terror threats coming from across the border, terrorist attacks that have taken place from people conducted by people from across the border. Pakistan's response is to deny the fact that these are Pakistani nationals or there's any kind of terrorist activity.
No, may I
closing comments, sir.
I'd like to come in here. I would like to point out the first basic thing is the question of intent. Is your intent to peace genuine, or is it just a negotiating tactic? It is just a stance to display to the West that you are earnestly engaged in, talks with India to try and resolve the issue, while the reality is that there are still 42 terrorist training camps active. You are just not focusing on the fact that you are killing Indian citizens. Let me put the problem in historical perspective. For the last 30 years, you are talking of the TSD. I'm telling you, for the last 30 years, the ISI has been prosecuting an asymmetric offensive against India. You know, 10 years in Punjab, 21,000 people killed. 20 years in Jammu and Kashmir, 42,000 people killed. And now in the whole of India. Now, are we supposed to lump all that? Are we supposed to lump all that? And the entire thing that you said, the games that were made with General Musharraf was that he had conceded and he said Pakistani soil will not be used for this.
What is your take on talk, sir?
If you are serious,
we are winding up
into this.
Gentlemen, running out of time on this, on debate number 1. I have to thank all of you for joining us. But here's the thing. If Pakistan really wants to sit across the table and resolve issues, it has to show intent. Make the atmosphere conducive, and India is ready to talk. That's what our Prime Minister maintains. Thanks for joining us on the debate tonight.